Okay, so we've created two fractions, right? We've got negative 4 over 2x, negative 5 over 2x. What we need to do is reduce these fractions. So we got negative 4 over 2 can reduce, and it will become, let's do pink. Negative 4 over 2 becomes negative 2 over 1x, or you can just write x. Negative 5 over 2, that does not reduce, so you keep it as is. So when you write this back into your parentheses, you're going to write the bottom first and then the top. So on this one, remember, we had it reduced to this. So we got an x on the bottom. The top is a negative 2, or in this case, it's a minus 2. And then over here, this one didn't reduce. So on the bottom, I have a 2x. And on the top, I got a minus 5. And if you will look in the first column compared to this column, it should be the same thing. All right, so this is called the snowflake method. All right, on to the next column, the box. All right, some of you guys like the box, which is totally cool. So we're going to need to, let's rewrite at the top the polynomial that we're using. So it is 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. Okay. Now, when you multiplied polynomials together, I think most of you said that you used the box to multiply them. So it's the same concept, except you don't have the two factors to multiply. Normally you write them on the edges, right? And then you multiply and you get the stuff on the inside of the boxes. But this time we have the inside of the boxes. We just got to figure out, well, what was the original problem to multiply to get it? All right, so I'm going to color code this as well. So I got a 2x squared. Okay, so that goes in the first box. Then I have a plus 10. Okay, this was your constant. This went in the last box. Now, if you remember when you multiply these two boxes right here combined, they were like terms, so they combined together to get you this middle term. All right. So, but we got to figure out how to break up this negative 9x so that when I add them together, it is a negative 9x. So let's start pulling things out to the side. First off, what times what is a 2x squared? Well, think of the number first, 2. What times what is 2? Well, 1 times 2. So let's put a 2 here and a 1 here, 1 times 2. Well, how do you get an x squared? Well, that's an x times an x, right? So if you multiply this back together, 1x times 2x is 2x squared. So I just created this in red. So I've got half of my factors. Now I just need to figure out, well, what goes here and what goes here. So I can see from this right here, the 10, it's got to multiply to get me a 10. But it's when I combine them together, I'm going to have to get a negative 9. But in this box right here, do you see how whatever is up here is going to get multiplied to 2x, okay? And then whatever is in this box, it's going to do 1x times whatever is on the outside to create this box, all right? So for some of you, this might seem a little complicated. Others, you're like, oh, I see it. I get it. It's kind of like a puzzle, okay? So you got to figure out, and you may have to guess and check where your numbers have to go in order to get that 10, all right? So what times what is 10? I think of, it could be 2 times 5. It could be 1 times 10. So let's try 2 and 5. And I'm going to place them, don't write anything. I don't want you to write this. I just want you to watch, okay? I'm going to place them in this order right here. Okay, I'm going to put the 5 up here and the 2 here. So when I multiply them, 2 times 5 is 10. It creates this box. But the problem is these 2 boxes. Okay, so let's figure this out. I got a 2x times 5 is 10x. Remember, you're not writing anything, you're just watching. And then this box is a 1x times a 2, which would be a 2x. But remember, these are like terms. If I put these together, what is 10x plus 2x? It's 12x. I don't want 12. I want a negative 9. So I didn't put this in the right order. So let's back up. Let's back up. Okay? So let's think about putting him in the other direction. What if I put the 2 here and the 5 here? And then, let's see, 2 times 2x is 4x. And then 1x times 5 is 5x. Hey, check it out. When I add them together, 4 plus 5, it equals 9, but I still have a problem. I need a negative 9. So let's see. I need to make this a negative and this a negative. So how is that going to change my numbers? This is going to be a negative, and this is going to need to be a negative in order to create the negative right here. But is this still a positive 10? Let's check. Negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. Yes, it works. So on the outside are my factors. I got a 1x minus 2, so I'm going to write this over here. Or remember, you could just say x. You don't have to write the 1. And then the other is this right here, a 2x minus 5. All right, those are my factors. And from the first 2 columns, it should still be the same 2 factors. X minus 2, 2x minus 5. All right, so you see all 3 of these methods give you the same answer, but they're just a little bit different process, okay? So right now, I want you to pick. I want you to put a big old star. Do you like the box method? Do you like the snowflake method? Or do you like the slide, stop, divide, bottom, top method? Okay, right now I want you to pick. Which one did you like the best? That you were like, I got this. This makes sense. Whatever it is, I want you to use that method. Okay? All right. Now what I want you to do is I want you to practice. Okay, so turn your notebook paper over. And I want you to practice these 4 problems. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So space them out. I want to give you about 8 minutes to do this. Okay, using the method that you just chose. On this last one, I'm going to test you. You need to first take out a GCF like we talked about last week. All right, so pause the video and put 8 minutes on the clock, and after 8 minutes, we're going to check our answers, okay? Okay, go ahead. Okay, guys, I hope that you were productive during that time. So now let's reveal the answers, okay? On number 1, m squared minus 9m plus 8. The answer is dun, 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 m minus 1 and m minus 8. Now, if you had these out of order, say you had m minus 8 first and then m minus 1, is it the same thing? Yes, it is the same thing. Remember multiplication, the order doesn't matter. Okay? All right, number 2, x squared minus 16x plus 63. 63 was a big number. Might have been a little tough. So let's see if you got it. Did you get x minus 9, x minus 7? I hope so. What about 3? We got 2b squared plus 17b plus 21. This one, you had an a value of 2. So you had to think about what to do with that 2, depending on which method you used. So let's see, did you get it? 2b plus 3 and b plus 7. Or you could have had them out of order and said b plus 7, 2b plus 3. All right, so these first three, using your method of choice, you should have been able to get these pretty easy. If you were struggling on 1 through 3, then you need to practice, 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 or if you need a little more help, please come to tutoring, okay? All right, number 4 was a tricky one. I wanted to see if you could do it. You had to take out a GCF of 4n squared, and then the leftovers you had to factor. It was 7n minus 10 and n plus 2. Okay, so this one I'm actually going to show you because the GCF is kind of new. We've only done this, I think, for 2 days. All right, so I'm going to do this one with you. All right, so if you didn't get a chance to practice this one, go ahead and write it down. All right, I got 28 n to the 4 plus 16 n to the 3 minus 80 n to the 2, which is n squared. Okay, first step is I need to think of a GCF. All right, obviously I can't do factoring yet the normal way, either the snowflake, slide stop, or the box, because what's my highest degree? My highest degree is a 4, okay? I can't factor a quadratic if it's not a quadratic, all right? Remember, a quadratic is with the 2, okay? So I need to think of, all right, first let's think of the numbers. I have a 28, a 16, and an 80. I need to think of the highest number that I can divide out of all of these. All right, so let's see. The lowest one is 16. So I'd first think, can I maybe divide 16 out of all of these numbers? Let's see. 28 divided by 16 is not an even number, so it can't be 16. So I've got to think lower. So my next choice guess would be an 8. 8 can divide by 16 and 80, but I don't think it'll divide by 28. So let's see, 28 divided by 8 is 3.5. Okay, so it doesn't go into 28. Let's see, thinking even lower than an 8, what about a 4? 4 can come out of 28, 4 can divide out of 16, and 4 can divide out of 80. So let's take out a GCF of 4. All right, so give yourself a little space, and then we're going to go ahead and write those leftovers. So I'm dividing each of these by 4. And then you got to think of, well, what about these letters? I have 4 n's here, 3 here, 2 here. What's the most I can take out of each? Well, this one only has 2. This one has 3, so I can take 2 from it, and this one has 4, so I can also take 2. So the most I can take out of each of them is 2. All right, so let's write the leftovers. All right, 28 divided by 4 is 7. I am dividing, remember, by an n squared on all of these as well. You can think of it as taking out 2 n's. All right, so if I have 4 n's and I'm taking 2 out, how many is left? I would have 2 left. All right, then plus, I got 16 divided by 4. That is a positive 4. I had 3 n's, taking away 2, so I just have 1 left. I have a negative 80 divided by 4. So 80 divided by 4 is a 20, but remember it's negative, so negative 20. And then I had 2 n's, taking away 2 n's, so I won't have any n's left. All right, so this was my GCF, 4n squared. So now this inside right here is now finally a quadratic. It's got n squared. All right, so this inside my parentheses I can factor. So this right here, my GCF, I'm not going to touch when I factor it. That's just going to be chilling on the outside. Okay, this right here is what I'm going to factor. All right, so I'm going to use, let's see, I'll use the snowflake method for this, I guess. I'm just going to mix it up.